Section 2, recording equipment. The fun stuff now begins, everyone. You can't record a podcast without a microphone. That's just the bottom line. It's like you can't ride a bicycle without a bike. It's one of those things we just have to deal with, and we're okay with that because recording sound is an art form to some, but to us, it's just going to be a fun experiment, of course. Now, everyone's on a budget. I'm on a budget. You're on a budget. Think of it like this. You have X amount of money, and you don't want to spend all of that on one thing. You want to make it sort of balance out over time, right? Budgeting. So when we budget in podcasting, that means we got to use what's around us to the best of our ability in the most affordable way. And when it comes to recording sound, that means we have to think of a way that all of us can sort of record sound on an equal platform. So we don't have one person in the middle of class that has, let's say, some really big fancy omnidirectional microphone, $500, $300, $200, that sort of thing. We have to find an equal playing field. And I think we've done it. So we've come up with a way here. Now, everyone, if you were to reach into your pocket right now, or at least somewhere around you close by, there's a good chance that you have a cell phone on you. Now, cell phones have really come a long way. There is an internal microphone. This internal microphone in your cell phone is what's used to record your sound whenever you're speaking or talking to someone. And it's also really good for recording sound in general. But we're really sticking to the most affordable way to do this. Now, we could just say, everyone record your sound, or let's all record our sounds, our podcasts, our tracks, using our cell phone, the internal microphone. That is an option. We could do that. But we do want to explore some options so that down the road, if you're, able to purchase an external microphone, you can. And if you do want to go buy an app for your internal microphone that you want to use to help you kind of sound better or do more things, then a few options you do have is the Voice Recorder HD. It's $1.99. Now, this really can help you deliver great sound quality. Kind of helps you see the ranges that your sound is. That means the levels. We'll talk about levels. That's something we're going to work with in post-production here and editing our sound and stuff. But there's also a free version of Voice Recorder. You would never believe what the name is. It's Voice Recorder Pro, right? So that is a free version of that. Now, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but you can do a lot with it. There's also a little bit more expensive, $10. Boss Jock Studios offers an app for advanced recorders. And then you can add in music with that one. You can do a lot of post-production, even edit a little bit. So being able to record isn't as much of a problem as it used to be. Now, 25, 30 years ago, recording in general, you'd have to have a large studio. You may have to even have a studio that was, able to have sound condensers, things more than just a microphone, a huge dynamic, soundboard. Today, you don't need all that. But before we actually talk about what microphone you can use, or microphones, we need to understand what microphones are exactly. Now, we don't want to go too deep. This is a beginner's course in podcasting, not sound theory or, recording. But we do want to talk on it just a bit on what are the different parts of a microphone. Let's start out by understanding what is the difference between a dynamic and a condenser microphone. Okay? Well, dynamic and condenser describes the operating principle used in a microphone. So what is an operating principle? I knew you'd ask that. That is the type of transducer inside the microphone. Now, what's a transducer? I knew you were going to ask that too. That is a device that changes energy from one form. No, okay, we're getting deep, I know. But listen, it just changes energy from one form to another. So in our case, energy can't be destroyed, right? It can only be turned into another form of energy. Now, dynamic microphone employs a diaphragm voice coil magnet thing assembly. I know it's not real, probably professional way of putting it, but it's exactly what it is. Diaphragm being the outer portion, voice coil inside, and the magnet. So when sound waves strike this thin plastic membrane, which is the diaphragm, there's a vibration. And the small coil, the wire, attached to the rear of the diaphragm, that vibrates with it. The coil itself is surrounded by a magnetic field, just like X-Men, Magneto, right? And a small permanent magnet inside of that collects the field of energy generated And the cool thing that happens after that, a signal corresponding to the sound picked up by the dynamic microphone is then sent wherever you have it plugged into. But what's a condenser microphone then? Now, this is totally different, but exactly the same. I know. But it's electrically charged diaphragm. All right, that's the first difference. That forms a sound-sensitive capacitor. I don't know what that is, to be honest, but basically sound waves vibrate. This very thin metal, and it's coated with plastic. The diaphragm is. Okay, that's the second difference. The diaphragm's mounted just in front of a rigid metal or metal-coated ceramic backplate. In electrical terms, this assembly or element is known as a capacitor. Okay, that's historically known as a condenser. This has the ability to store charge or voltage. When the element is charged, an electric field is created. And you can only guess what happens when sound's put into that. The diaphragm vibrates. Motion then causes the diaphragm relative to the backplate to produce electrical signal. And that corresponds to the sound picked up. So you can record. It's pretty cool, actually, how this works. But that's what microphones do. Now, if we were getting into exactly what microphone's best for you, I want to be sure and say that we're looking at budget. We're not going to even try to, dance around that. You're a student. You have a budget. You probably don't have a full-time job yet, I'm guessing. Even if you did, some of these microphones are so expensive. It's not even probably really realistic to even look at in terms of using it for a course. Not sure there's some students who have the means to get something like that, but the majority of students, well, they don't. But the phone, now with the phone, anything can happen. We're working with digital sound. So that little coil and all those diaphragms and all those other wonderful recording mechanisms have been condensed into a digital standard now inside your phone. So when you speak, like I'm speaking now, those little vibrations are picked up and they're stored. Okay? Think of it as a swimming pool. The deep end is getting really deep into this stuff, right? Obviously. No pun intended. Well, actually it is. The shallow end, that's where we're hanging out. Now we can go in the deep end, no problem. I probably wouldn't if I couldn't swim. So let's try to get our floaties on and get an idea of what we're dealing with. Waveform audio. Now, you can tell what type of file that is by looking at the main extension at the end. .jpg is a JPEG. .psd, that's a PSD file. You see, these little extensions tell us what kind of file it is. This saves us from trying to having to open it without knowing what it is and then being really bummed out when the program can't do it. So what is a waveform audio file? Waveform audio, that's a real common file format. Okay, that's pretty kind of a standard wave, WAV. Then you have an MPEG. That's an audio layer, MP3. It's a layer 3. And then an MPEG 1, layer 3, it's an MP3 That's a common compressed WAV file. So WAV is a little larger than an MP3. Then you also have some that are real specific. They're kind of like, hey, I don't really want to be all like universal. I just want to hang out with my buds. That's a Windows Media Audio, WMA file. Now, the reason you need to know this is if you go to open something or save something out in a certain file format and you're wanting to maybe edit it later in a program that can't use that file format, you need to know because that's a lot of work you're going to have to redo. So it takes a little looking into, and we'll kind of help you with that later on. So now, I don't want to limit us to the phone. I do want to say that the phone is going to be our, kind of our gold standard in this, but we're using a tablet too, tablet or phone. But let's touch on a laptop. So now laptops have an external microphone, just like a phone. And those microphones are pretty good. I mean, in comparative to like microphones and technology in the past, I mean, they're amazing. Take a laptop and set it down in Thomas Edison's time. I mean, people are going to flip. But when compared to other sound collecting means, today's standards are kind of different. So if I just sat down with a laptop and hit record, I could record a podcast. Not getting into sound theory or anything. Laptop microphones can pick up everything. So if you're in your living room recording something on maybe Game of Thrones or something like that, and then in the kitchen, your mom's making dinner, or your dad, that's going to be picked up on your laptop. Every little clang of a dish, every little shut of a microwave, all this stuff, right there in your podcast. Now, you get to edit all that out later if you want, or leave it in as a documentary style, I guess. One shortcut around it. But if you do want to edit it all out, then you're going to have a lot of work to do. A lot of work. So save yourself time. Another thing to take into consideration is what we call marks. So MARKS. On a file, let's say you're recording, something happens. You realize, oh no, I'm going to have to edit that later. Instead of going and actually looking for it, listening to your entire podcast over or all of your tracks over again to hear these little imperfections, put a mark in there. That mark will enable you to look at that and say, hey, look, I've got like 16 little areas here I need to look at where the cat meowed or the dog maybe passed gas. I don't know. All these little things. Those are things that even we can joke about can really impact a podcast. It can really make it, not worth listening to. Now, tablets. Tablets are a lot like phones, but they're in between phones and a laptop. They have a bigger microphone. They're able to pick up more. All that ambient noise in the background could be picked up. So how do we get around this? Now, we could hold the phone close to our mouth and get in the closet. That would work maybe. But what if we don't really want to record in a closet? Maybe we want to record, let's say, at a coffee shop, but you don't want all the noises in the background to be picked up. That's where we get into things such as called directional microphones. Now remember, we're hanging out in the shallow end. So I'm not going to be talking about gain to feedback ratio, SPL handling, channel separation, or off-axis coloration, or all those fun things. I'm only want to touch on this for a second because I think it really helps to understand how microphones work or how they can work. So let's get in now into directional versus omnidirectional. Now, and just to touch on it just for a second, omnidirectional are microphones that are designed to be more sensitive in certain directions. So directional microphones can be a big advantage in such where you're wanting a hearing aid or assisted living device, but it can also enhance sound that you want to hear without hearing the stuff you don't. But omnidirectional, okay, that's different. That's where you can hear in all directions. But it picks up sounds that are important. So if you're sitting across a table doing an interview, an omnidirectional microphone might just be the best way to go. So, and in terms of getting over this idea of internal versus external microphones, I know I've kind of laid the framework that all internal microphones are terrible. This is a wrestling match, I guess, would be kind of, the heel would be, internal microphones. And now we're in this corner, that kind of thing, where the other guy's like Hulk Hogan versus Pee Wee Herman or something. Not the greatest matchup, I know, I get it, but there's benefits of using internal microphones, and you can. I'm not saying you can't, but let's touch a little bit on the types of microphones available to you that we suggest you using as an external-based microphone for this course. Now, the biggest thing that I can stress here is you get what you pay for. And you're going to pull up some different types of options from a clip-on lavalier microphone from Andro for $3. You don't really want to go extremely cheap, and you don't need to really go that expensive either, especially when you have a nice software editing platform you're going to use later on. We suggest a few different ones. Now, for a standalone, Frisbee FMC 220 desktop stand noise canceling standalone plug-and-play microphone is $10. I mean, that's pretty cheap. Now, reviews on this are pretty good. They're not the greatest, but then again, they're not terrible either. Then there's also the Saramonic iMic microphone for iOS devices. Now, the great thing about that is that it's very, very affordable at $20 and pretty good reviews, but the bad part about that is that it's only for iOS devices. So those of you with Android phones are kind of, out of luck with that. But don't worry, there's the same thing in reverse for other products. Now, if you want to get really serious, there's the Zoom IQ6 XY stereo microphone. Now, this is something crazy. It's omnidirectional. It's condenser mic. It's $100. Now, one source on the end of your phone. Now, you could set that up, or your tablet, again, I mentioned. You could set that up and have a multi-host show with that, but it's probably going to cause some difficulties when some formats are used, okay? Now, we suggest looking at the Rode, RODE microphones. They're pretty affordable. They have great reviews. I mean, wonderful reviews. They make a large variation of different types of microphones to fit your needs, all the way from the video mic, which is this really, really super nice shotgun microphone for camcorders. It could also be compatible with some audio type stuff in portable devices like your tablets and things, all the way down to lapel pin mics. These are ones that actually attach to your shirt so you can move around and talk. So just to make it even more, enticing, There's a device that you can also connect to your tablet or your phone and then insert the Rode lapel pins into those. I call them pins, lapel mics into that. And you can have two attached to one, or there's multiple ports even. I think you can enhance that all the way up to maybe 4. So you and your friend recording a multi-host show or friends can hook that up to your shirt and talk. So the device is actually recording just what you're saying, not everything in the background. Or you can just connect it to yourself and have a solo type format. Headphones are not really what we're looking at in terms of exploring and understanding with this course. But I think it's important to understand this much. We all know there's earbuds and then there's headphones. Big difference. There's cordless, wireless, I should say, and then there's also those that are tethered to whatever device you're having. I suggest over-ear headphones. Now, they're usually cushioned ear cups, so they don't hurt over time, not that a lot of earbuds do. And they're also known as a round ear or full size, but these really give you the full experience of knowing how sound works, hearing a podcast played on speakers in a room, and then listening to that through your earbuds is a totally different experience. Looking at the different types of options for us, the Rode Smart Lav, it's a 2-person lavalier interview kit. Now, this is one we're going to kind of look at in more general. It's a really, really nice set of equipment here. Now, these plug in, of course, to your device. With this kit, what you have 2 Rode Smart Lav mics, those attached to your shirt or some sort of clothing. You have an SC6 dual TRRS input adapter. Now that's for you to be able to plug in both lavalier microphones as well as your headphones. Then, of course, you also have HPC A30 closed back, those over the ear, monitor headphones. Those help you to hear what you sound like as you're speaking and to listen back and hear what your podcast sounds like while editing. This kit is really, really cost affordable at only around $200, but you have to think about what all you get exactly. Now, this also works with Apple or Android, and it's designed to deliver high-quality audio recording. This is the really top-notch stuff. This design lends to effective hands-free recording, so interview, solo, even multi-host. This is a great product and a bundle that you can get and really just come out of the box ready and equipped to conduct your first podcast. Now, not in terms of a bundle, but you can find this product at right around $160 if you're, looking kind of close and comparing things. But anyway, this is the MIC Mic W 143.7L Omni Lightning microphone. Now, this is omnidirectional measurement microphone with a lightning connector. So you have a windscreen that you can apply on it that helps with wind. Doesn't pick up a lot of that wind. So now, why is this so much more? I mean, you're getting an entire kit with the Rode as compared to just this microphone. This is a smart-ready, ultra-portable, omnidirectional condensed microphone with lightning connector. It's calibrated, so it's 2 sound level. All these are kind of, deep in the pool kind of stuff. But basically, you get a seriously high-quality recording with this microphone. The third microphone we're going to be looking at is the Professional Condenser Sound Podcast Studio microphone. This is for a PC, laptop, Skype, and also for iOS devices. Now, this is $8. One, very, very, very cheap. Does the job, but you might as well just use your internal microphone. The Rode system gives you quality equipment at a bundle. And then the third, you pay just as much for that bundle with just a little bit more quality maybe. So as you could see, all of these plug into your phone, all of these, or your tablet, I should say, all of these while using your built-in app for your phone to record sound, records tracks, so you can record onto your phone. You're saving these files out then at usually the standard at WAV. Those are pretty universal when you're pulling it into your different editing software later. All of these are able to record, but are they able to give you what you need in terms of cutting out noise and later on cutting out sounds that you don't want to pick up while recording? All of these matter when you're thinking of what you're going to be recording to. So where and what and all those things. Your format and your theme, all that stuff matters. So we're going to focus in on a couple of these. We're going to take the higher end brand into the road, and we're going to explore how to use them, plugging them into your phone, opening up your phone, recording sound, all of that. In the last unit of section 2, dealing with recording. So that's it for today. Or maybe if you're doing 2 units in one day, that's it for this unit. And we really appreciate you taking the course here on The Holler. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. We really look forward to hearing what you're going to be submitting later on. As we get into the 3rd section and the 4th section, you'll be submitting tracks, and at the very end, your final and completed podcast. All right, I'm Chris Epling. Really appreciate you. And for The Holler, we'll see you in the next unit.